3 true Airbnb horror stories animated.
My name is Pierce. Although I was born in France, my whole family is American. I was always curious about what America could be like, so when I could save enough money, I could plan a big trip that would last a few months, where I could get to know what it's like to live there. My first plans were to stay temporarily in an Airbnb while I looked for a job to go to a better place.
Chicken fries?
I finished settling in pretty quickly. I relaxed in the dining room and turned on the TV for the first time.
Wait, no, sauce?
Until to my surprise, someone texted me. When I checked my cell phone, I noticed that the number was American. Who could be talking to me? This was not the Airbnb owner's number, and I still don't know anyone in this country. As confused as I was by this message, when I opened it, all my doubts turned to fear. You are not alone. Get out of there.
I would have left so fast.
Was this a threat? Maybe the Airbnb owner gave my phone to a
I don't know. Does he have a car though? I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention. If he has a car, I would have been gone so fast. If he didn't, I would at least have a gun on me.
friend and they were playing a joke on me? I decided to ignore him and went to the kitchen to prepare the food when I received another message.
Ignore those type of messages.
Get out of the kitchen now. Something bad is about to happen. Okay, this is seriously creepy. How did they know I'm in the kitchen? Does this place have cameras? Are you sure I'll be alright? Of course. Just take care of your wound.
What?
Thanks, Doc. Listen, kid, I don't know why you're covering for whoever did this to you, but I seriously think you should be careful. Stay calm, Doctor. It was just an accident. The knives fell out of... Kid, I'm not judging you. There's no need to lie to me. I've been doing this for a long time. There's no way a falling knife could cause a wound like that. Look how it went through your hand. That could have only been one person, who certainly used a lot of force. But just be careful, okay? Yes, Doctor.
That was a sharp
As I
ass
walked
knife
back
then.
to the Airbnb, I couldn't
Hey, they must have been sharpening that knife for hours if it was that fucking sharp.
help but be terrified. Who was sending me those messages? Who was trying to hurt me?
Why are you
No
going
one
back?
threw those knives at me. How could I have fallen so hard? Confused, I tried to reply to the number that had spoken to me earlier, but no message came through. I arrived back at the Airbnb, and with my hands still sore, I threw myself onto the bed and fell asleep.
I hate niggas like this. What was the purpose? What did you gain from doing that? Please let me know. Please let me know.
Terrified, I woke up from one of the most intense nightmares of my life. Not because I dreamt that someone was chasing me, a family member had an accident, or that my teeth fell out. I dreamt that I saw through the eyes of someone who was on my roof, watching me sleep. Someone who was slowly approaching me with the intention of hurting me. I looked around, but I was alone. Something was really wrong. There was this smell.
Okay,
It was so intense, it almost made me vomit. Anyway, I had to thank my cell phone for waking me up. But when I saw that the number of the message was again the number that had threatened me before, I was not so happy. If you stay in bed, you will die.
What?
Get out of there now. This message didn't seem like a threat, more like a warning. I checked the previous messages and they gave...
Leave, nigga! What are you checking? Leave! Leave!
me the same impression. Was whoever was sending me the messages trying to protect me? Whatever the case, he was right about the kitchen, so I wasn't going to risk it. I got out of bed and went to the bathroom, also taking the opportunity to brush my teeth.
I know this nigga did not just say he went to brush his teeth. I accidentally skipped so much of the story. I know he did not just say he's going to brush his teeth. Oh my god. Oh my god. The caucasity.
Also taking the opportunity to brush my teeth. From the bathroom, I heard a strange noise coming from my room, and when I opened the door to investigate what the sound was, my toothbrush fell out of my mouth. The bed was totally destroyed. My cell phone vibrated again, so I took it out of my pocket and read its contents. Come out of the bathroom now. Totally willing to believe this message, I jumped violently out of the bathroom and fell on the floor of my room. Suddenly, the bathroom light broke and the door slammed shut.
Nigga,
From
texting
inside,
ghosts?
Violent pounding on the door could be heard. This didn't make any kind of sense, The bathroom was empty a second before.
See if I can
Now there was
go.
someone inside, and he was furious. I read the cell phone one more time. Another message had arrived. As if answering my question, I heard a terrifying noise behind me. I looked in the direction of the noise, and there was something or someone crouched at one end of the room. I couldn't
Emily wants to play? Hello? I'm kicking that. I'm kicking that. And why is his head turned like this? I will ask.
believe what I was seeing. His face was pale white, and his body was also white, but there was something wrong. That wasn't a human. It had no nose. Its eyes were moving frenetically from side to side. They were trembling. But worst of all was that smile, that creepy grin from ear to ear. I was perplexed. Suddenly, that strange being stood up and slowly walked toward
I
me.
wouldn't hit no more.
I ignored the cell phone's advice and ran desperately towards the exit. I reached the kitchen and jumped to the exit door. I put my key in, but nothing happened.
This is called karma. Cause you should have been left. The second I got a strange number texting me, I'm gone. I'm moving states, countries, continents. This nigga said I got stabbed in my hand. I'm gonna go to the doctor and then go right back to the Airbnb. Okay.
The door was still locked. I started to inspect it, and to my surprise, a small padlock was locking the door. Where did this come from? I tried to pick the lock, but before I knew it, I heard a sound right behind me. I turned around, and there it was. That strange and horrifying being was behind me. I was locked in. I could do nothing to defend myself. From this distance, I could see his face more than ever. It was as the message said. His eyes
Nigga
were
getting
not
attacked
looking
by a
in my
Roblox
direction.
character.
They were simply moving all over the place. His mouth opened slowly, as if anticipating that he was very
This
close
wants to be
me.
doors so
In
badly.
his hand, I could see a small kitchen knife that he was probably going to use on me. Crying, I fell to the ground, praying that my death would be as painless as possible. But suddenly, something even stranger happened. When the being was a meter away from me, someone came out of the wall next to me, hugging and holding him. The wall
What the fuck is happening? This is an insane acid drip. Beyonce, yeah. I've been drinking. I was peeping it too, but I'm like, I don't know why that shit going in my head. Talking about some surfboard.
was not broken. It was as if it was suddenly made of rubber band that could be stretched. The figure that was holding him was human. I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew this was my only chance to escape. I began to hit the lock violently using my cell phone, destroying it in the process. The lock, which was small and quite weak, gave way, and I took advantage of that
Why is he
moment to
looking back?
escape. All the while, the monster was still pushing hard to get to me. His smile was still intact, and even though he knew he couldn't see me, his eyes went straight in my direction, ignoring the other strange being that was grabbing him. The next day, I tried to avoid the ghost stories and told the owner that someone had invaded the Airbnb the night before. The police came in with us, and immediately they also noticed the rotten smell that I had been feeling all this time.
This man, that guy should have stabbed the door. This man was just doing acid. They just spiked one of his drinks or something. Thank you for the subred fire.
After finding nothing strange in the house, they noticed that the smell was coming from a hole in the wall at the entrance, where the last entity had saved me. The police asked the owner for permission, and after several hours, they pulled down the wall. Behind it was a man trapped in the concrete with multiple stab wounds on his body.
Damn.
Oh God, look at him. This man's been dead for several weeks. The owner recognized the man. He was the
Look at this ugly ass nigga, bro. Why does his Andre Iguodala head shape ass look like that?
previous inhabitant of the Airbnb. The owner thought he had simply left the room for some emergency, as he never responded to him again. None of us understood how the man had gotten there or what had happened to him, but as the police were removing us from the room, I
Damn.
saw the man's hand. And at that moment, I understood everything. His hand was tightly clenched around a cell phone, and even though it had been several weeks since his death, the cell phone was still on.
Dumbass nigga.
I'm a writer by
Andrew
profession,
Tate.
and I often set out to remote locations to work in peace and serenity. I've stayed in quite spooky places all by myself and never regretted the experience until this.
Who brags about that? Yeah, you know, I've lived in a couple of houses where, you know, Anne Frank died. You know, I lived in the attic right there. Oh, she didn't die in there, but still. I lived in Anne Frank's attic, you know. I laid in Hitler's deathbed, you feel what I'm saying? It's just, you know, it's the everyday thing. It was good right before it turned into a ghost story. It was like a 9 before it turned into a ghost story. It ended at like a 6.
Last summer, I booked an Airbnb facing a big blue lake. The view was breathtaking, and it was the quietest place I have ever stayed. There was no other house nearby. The owner, let's call him Steve for the
What the hell is that?
sake of this story, handed me the keys and left his number for further assistance. The B&B was a 2-story cabin, perfect for any solo traveler. I decided to sleep in the upstairs bedroom because it had a balcony facing the water body. It was
That's
the
fair.
perfect place to write stories. The bright moonlight
Like what you're doing
reflected
right
on
now.
the lake water. I was so into my work that I forgot it was past my dinner time. I may be concentrating too hard when suddenly I felt someone's breath behind my neck. I quickly turned around and realized I am in the middle of nowhere. No way there could be someone else in this house. Thinking it was a trick.
It was just some wind, bro. You ain't never got no wind air on your shoulder. Like, he probably felt that breath and was like, he got that. Oh, fuck, breathe harder.
My mind played on me. I brushed off the incident. After dinner, I switched off the room lights and went to bed. The moonlight coming
Do y'all be double dipping tips? Type shit? Y'all be double dipping tips? One side barbecue, one side honey mustard?
from the balcony illuminated the room enough to see in the dark. I don't recall what time it was, but I woke up drenched in sweat. The room was too hot all of a sudden. I wiped my face in a drowsy state of mind and slowly opened my eyes. With my blurry vision, I saw an old lady sitting on my bed. Her face was white as a blank sheet.
Tien?
She was staring
She has
at
a third
me
eye?
with an expressionless face. Before I could contemplate the thought of how she got inside the house, she opened her mouth and vomited thick black liquid all over me.
Ah!
I jumped, screaming at the top of my lungs. But where did she go? I took a quick scan of the room. The lady was gone. It was like she never existed.
It's like nothing
God,
ever
what
happened
an
at
awful
all.
dream.
You know what that sounds like? It was just a dream.
I should have gone slow on the wine. I drank a glass of water and calmed down my nerves. In the next few minutes, I was sure everything was nothing but a nightmare. But since that night, things began to get worse.
Oh yeah?
Every night, I would wake up drenched in sweat with
Oh,
the
yeah?
same scary lady staring at me.
Oh my god.
After 3 nights, my health started deteriorating. I wanted to call the owner, but I was afraid that he would think I'd gone mad. I wasn't even sure if it was real or if I was hallucinating
I would
the
have just
entire
left
thing.
personally.
One afternoon, I was taking a bath. I had soap on my face, and suddenly the shower turned off. As I
I'll be terrified. If that happened to me, bro, I would leave. I would leave so fast. I wouldn't care for no reasonable explanation. I would have been gone so fast.
searched for the tap to wash off my face, I grabbed something. It felt like a skinny
Like a
hand.
penis.
I got scared so badly that I
Like,
slipped and
ah!
fell
Ah!
into the bathtub. Luckily,
And now, since your legs are up and your dingling up, it's time for her to suck. Like, bro, I've seen this plot before.
I didn't break any bone. I had already paid 1 month's rent, and hence didn't want to leave the place just because of some stupid hallucinations.
Better than me. I don't care how much money I paid. If I'm losing my sanity, I'm dipping. What do you think this is? Money not that important.
But that night, my life changed forever. I was so terrified that I couldn't sleep for a long time, but eventually I dozed off. A sound of weeping woke me up. I got up on the bed, expecting to see the lady like always, but this time she was standing at the doorway. She hid her face in
That's
her
creepy.
hands and her body trembled as
creepy.
she kept
No,
crying.
that's creepy. That's creepy.
What?
That's creepy.
What do you want? She didn't answer. Tell me what you want. I
That's
know I'm
creepy.
not hallucinating anymore. I know you're real. The lady removed her hands from her face, and I saw she had no eyes. Her mouth stretched into this big, hollow jaw, and a distorted groan came out from it. My
An
heart
Enderman?
stopped beating, but then she did something unexpected. She slowly raised her bony hands and pointed her fingers at the long corridor.
Why did the Negro in me think she was about to start nay-naying? I thought she was gonna go, yeah. Like, I think when it comes to stories, bro, sometimes I just want random shit to happen because I think it'll be so funny. Like, I feel like people take some stuff too seriously. Like, let things be fun, man.
She stayed in that position for a few seconds and walked towards the corridor. I felt a weird sensation inside of me, as if an invisible
Horniest?
force pushed me to follow her.
You're getting thick.
I came out and saw
Stiff,
her
I
going
mean?
downstairs. Her silhouette floated in the air as she made her way. She stopped near the basement
This nigga's just copying the plot of Granny, bro. That's all it is. This man played the mobile game and is getting nightmares.
door and turned towards me one last time. Her mouth opened again, and the same eerie groaning came out.
English,
She
nigga.
pointed at the padlock put on the basement door and vanished into thin air. Any other time I would have fainted right away, but this time I got her signal. She was trying to tell me something. Is there something in that basement? If not, then why is it locked? I broke the padlock with a big metal vase. As soon as I
is not
opened the
your
basement
house,
door,
nigga.
a foul stench filled the house.
Nigga, this is not
No
your
doubt
house.
It hinted towards rotten flesh. I grabbed a flashlight and with trembling footsteps made my way into the basement. At first, I didn't see anything, but the more I got closer, the smell hit me like a poisonous gas.
Ugh.
Once the flashlight hit the corner of the basement, my legs froze into the ground. There was a dead body of an old woman decaying horribly.
Why is this music intense?
Her eyes had been eaten
Why is
by
this music
maggots,
intense,
and her
though?
mouth was opened into
Y'all
a silent
smashing maggots?
scream. I was going to call the owner Steve, but I made another shocking revelation. On the basement wall hung a big laminated family picture of Steve standing beside the old woman, whose ghosts I've been seeing all
Okay, so the grandma died in the basement and he didn't know. Move on, nigga.
these days. The picture was clear. Steve had murdered his mother and hid her body in the basement to get rid of it later. So instead of calling him, I called the cops. It took almost an hour for them to reach the remote lake house, but once they did, I felt relieved. I left the Airbnb right then, and later read in the newspaper that Steve has been charged with first-degree murder of his mother. He admitted to killing her to acquire her wealth and the lake house which was in her name.
I feel like that could have been a lot scarier if they wanted it to be. Like that could. I was waiting for Steve just to jump out of nowhere and be like, "What you doing here, bud? You stepped into territory you weren't supposed to. The door was locked for a reason." But that was kind of weak.